JJ the CPA here, going into week May 4th. What? That's just crazy. So what's going on this week? Well, I'll tell you what, we're still dealing with PPP. We're still hoping, crossing fingers that all those that need, deserve, that haven't received PPP funds, that they get them. EIDL, I'm looking right now. So as of the release of this video, SBA still saying notice lapse in appropriations and that they're going to do first come, first serve on the ones that have already applied. I've said it before, but I do really feel like if the SBA was out of funds, that they would take that down. So I think they're still calculating it. I don't think that they're at all being remiss by leaving that up and saying that there's a lapse of appropriations. In the sense that they know that 10 billion got put in on the PPP. I was taking a look, I'm not seeing anything on how much of the PPP funds have been used. At the latter part of last week, seems like, I don't even know where these reports come from, but a few that I saw was around 120, 140 billion of the 310 billion. Of course, we know that the smaller banks and the credit unions, and this is what I'm getting at, for what to do this week, which is if you've not received your funds, and let me scratch that. You've not had your bank tell you, boom, you've been approved, as in approved, not submitted, not here's your SBA number, because that doesn't really seem to be anything, because there's been a number of people with PPP-1 that had SBA numbers and then didn't get any funding. So from the standpoint of you still waiting, as in I hadn't heard anything from my bank, or I've put it in there, now I've got one error after another, and then I'm not sure on this, and then I've called them and nothing and nothing and nothing. So I have heard a number of people that did what I recommended, which was find a local bank, a smaller bank, a credit union bank. So small credit unions, right, have 30 billion allocated to them. Small banks have 30 billion allocated to them. So they're sitting there going, yo, what's up? You guys want some PPP funds? Because we can help you. And the smaller banks seems like they're letting you just open an account. They're letting you do your application. There goes the money into that account. They're clipping their 5% fee. Thank you very much. So how do you know? Well, most credit unions are small, most, okay? So if you hadn't heard of the credit union before, it's probably small. When you're looking at the website of that bank, how many branches do they have? They got 2, 3, 4, probably small, right? So then you would know, hey, I think I would want to apply here. Now, we'll tell you this, I was looking up at some banks just out of curiosity, and there was a number of them that they said right on their website, we're taking on new applications, but we are going to serve our clients first, as this is a first come, first serve. All that's to say is that if they have clients they're working with, they're going to get those put in, and then they're going to work yours behind there. But that's how it's supposed to work anyways. This is a first come, first serve deal. Okay, so they're not at all doing anything incorrectly. I'm just saying I probably wouldn't go to that bank, right? Because they're kind of giving you notice, like, hey, we're helping, but we got to take care of our customers, and therefore we don't know if we can help you. So it's kind of like a big, flashing sign saying maybe you shouldn't come here. At least that's how I would interpret it. But, I have come across, if it's a bank I never heard of, right? Probably a small bank. And when you go to their website and it says, hey, we're taking on new customers and helping with their, paycheck protection program needs, then I think that's an area that, or there'd probably be a bank where you can, get your application in and get funded. Now, that comes down to, well, can I apply at 2 places? No. So you're just going to have to watch some of my other videos where, long and short of it is, if you're getting ready to put into a small bank and they're like, yeah, we got this, we're putting it in, you're going to get approved, then you're letting the other bank know. Now, if you can never even get a hold of your other bank, are you even applied for? Have they even submitted it? Have you gotten an SBA number from the other bank? What are they doing with it, right? So I don't know that you have to get overly concerned potentially in those set of circumstances where the person you've been working with, you're not hearing from them, there's errors, you don't have an SBA number. Has it even been done, right? So find another smaller bank. Now, I'm not saying like, oh, here's a technicality on how to apply to places. Not saying that at all, okay? Long story short, get after it, because I'd be surprised if we're going into the week of May 11th and there's still PPP funds on the table. Maybe. But then who would have those? The smaller bank. And then who's now going to go to the smaller bank? Okay. Might be other banks, right? Might be meaning banks referring to that bank, because they can do that. Nothing wrong with this bank saying, hey, we got customers over here that we're trying to bring in. Smaller bank, you want it? Boom. And then that bank gets a fee from the other bank. It's all legal. It's in the law. It's totally allowed. So point is that there's no reason to sit around and wait. What you can do on Monday is apply with different banks. And let me scratch that. Open up accounts, open up relationships, start conversations, open a portal, put info in, see if they say, yep, we got everything for you. Yep. All right, they're gonna say, hey, do you want us to submit it? And you're like, yeah, and then you'll make your decision then, okay? What's also going on this week? We got a lot of states where maybe PUA is finally becoming available, okay? Either it's coming online to apply for, or it's actually getting paid out. So I've got a specific video about PUA and PPP, so I'm just gonna let you watch that. I'm gonna make a quick note here for myself to make sure that I put the link to that. So I'm gonna let you watch that. But know this now, as PPP is coming out and then also PUA is coming out, they are really meant to do the same thing, okay? So you've got to really figure out, if you're trying to do both, how, okay? How do you coordinating that? And is the PPP getting you caught up? And then you're doing PUA, or I got PPP, but until this point I'm doing PUA. Point is, you're gonna have to figure some of that stuff out. And then if you have questions, watch that video. On the EIDL, right? There's nothing on here, but do I think that there's gonna be some? Yes, I think it'll go quick. So you better just be like what I talked about all last week, right? Just be checking it, The SBA did come out and confirm last week that it will be, in essence, $1,000 per employee. I think when they finally put it back up, the application may be more, a little bit more detailed and asking a few more questions, such as, have you applied for this before? So if you already applied for it and you got money, you're not gonna be able to apply for it again. They're gonna be able to know from your tax ID number. At first I had thought, well, maybe we should go ahead and apply again, because are they gonna give out the 10 grand again like they did before? But the SBA said, nope, it's gonna be based on employees. And then probably you have to look and see if we're getting any further clarification of what's an employee. Meaning, if it's the real estate business, like, there probably isn't any employees, right? But there can be the risk of rent being lost, and therefore you're going for the EIDL. The one thing I want you to also know is that with the employee retention credit, the IRS came out with some stuff Thursday. And at the end of the day, the bottom line is that if you're getting PPP funds, you don't qualify for the employee retention credit. And the IRS has solved one of the last two. I had two questions. They solved one of them, of the last two, which is, well, what date is that effective? And the IRS clearly stated that regardless of the date of origination of your PPP loan, okay, you don't get the ERC if you're getting the PPP, which just means if you got PPP here, well, then you're not getting ERC even all the way back to here. But the other part I just want to solve, I'd like to have solved, is that the IRS is supposed to interpret, the law indicates as such in the CARES Act. It indicates that the IRS needs to define how does a recapture occur if someone took ERC and then later got PPP. Because it's not a woo, you're getting arrested and going away in bracelets kind of thing. It's just that you don't qualify. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, if you break the law, tax law, but basically what it's indicating is you wouldn't qualify. But there's a provision in there that, well, what if you qualify and you took it and you got the credit and then later you got PPP? So at the time that you got your ERC, you didn't know, or you didn't have PPP. Now this event's happened and you already did this, then what happens? That's what I'm talking about, okay? And then there's other aspects of the tax law. I'm kind of waiting for PPP to die down, but there's going to be some other aspects of the tax law out of the CARES Act that's going to be stuff we're going to want to pounce on. We've got an opportunity to look at, whether or not we want NOLs to carry back 5 years. NOLs that have occurred are changing, where 100% is available for NOLs in 18 or after, where it was only 80% of it's available. Qualified improvement property, no longer 39 year, it's 15 years. So the technical correction was taken into account finally, and excess business losses are no longer in play for 18, 19, and 20. They start in 2021. We know we've got the deferral of Social Security tax in wages at the employer side. That's been half paid in 2021, half paid in 2022. You're right, I'm buzzing through this quickly, aren't I? I'm buzzing through it quickly to say to those that are paying attention to these things, helping clients, we need to jump on that right away. The other aspect is to let people know, hey, there's other stuff in this CARES Act besides PPP and EIDL. I know that that's our laser focus, right now, but there's some other tax things that we're going to need to jump on. And so I have talked about some of these things in the past, and they're not getting a lot of interaction or attention, for lack of a better word. So once PPP is done and we know where we're at on that stuff, then I'm going to start doing some of these more in-depth videos related to some of these tax aspects when we're actually then paying attention to it. And then I will do some videos on PPP forgiveness, but only as SBA guidance comes out. So the videos will be on SBA guidance, not, hey, here's what I think. So I've got plenty of videos on PPP forgiveness. I think my biggest thing that I'm sticking to is just, spend it on what you need, right? Just if you find yourself going, well, can I do this or can I do that? But you're trying to do it to, well, like, I want to make sure I get this forgiven. Then you're probably on the side of the tracks that you don't want to be. What you want to be is on this side of the tracks. And then when you go, well, I don't want to do it wrong. Well, it's not really possible to do it wrong if you're spending on payroll, rent, utilities, employer match of retirement, and the health insurance, for the employees, as well as the interest on loans. And then down at the, sole proprietor level, you're taking Schedule C, line 31 that was used to get the loan, divided by 52 weeks times 8 weeks. That's your automatic forgiveness amount. The other aspects are some things that you're able to deduct to reach the 25%. And I'll put a link in there, but on my website that I created, www.jjcpahelp.com, free website, and there's nothing in there that's gonna make you put in a tax ID number or your email or your phone number or providing anything to me. It's just free there. But I've got a page on each one of these things, including the PPP forgiveness, the EIDL, the PPP application, the tax laws, the tax credits, worksheets and things to that effect. So we'll be diving back into that once we get past PPP. So this week, all I can say, I can't even stress it enough, because I'm telling you, I'm in conversation. These aren't clients of mine, but I'm in conversation with 2 different businesses, and for whatever reason, they're just doing this, that their bank, who's giving them errors, their bank that is not really been that responsive, their bank that kind of seems to give them the same kind of message, aren't going out and finding another bank. And this isn't because they're lazy. I just don't know if they're just like maybe concerned, or they're shy, or they don't know why they should do that, or it seems like it'll just work itself out. But don't get to the week of May 11th, PPP's dried up, and you're kicking yourself because you didn't at least go do a little bit more, foot pound, pounding the pavement, looking for a bank to do the PPP with, a smaller bank, a smaller credit union. When you're talking about these banks that you're hearing like, well, you're in the system, all that, there are banks that are using servicing companies, right? So they're throwing your application up with all these other banks through a servicing company, but you want to then get with a bank, these smaller banks and credit unions, to go, are you using a servicing company or are you doing it directly? Because if they're doing it directly, I'm telling you right now, you're sitting there waiting on your bank, and then there's these small banks over here, and people are walking in and out, getting their money in 48 hours, in and out in 48 hours, in and out in 48 hours. How many 48 hours have you been waiting when you take PPP1 and PPP2? How many times over, in essence, could you have gotten your money if you just went to a different bank? I understand you may know who the bank manager is, or, well, they said they were going to do this, or I've emailed every single person and I've done. Great, I'm glad that you're doing that and continue to do it. But I'm saying now that we're going into the week of May 4th, let that ring. May, what? Oh my gosh, it's crazy, right? This really could be the last chance. I just don't see there being another round of PPP EIDL coming out. So this is the last chance to get PPP, and if you need it, go get it. Go get it. Because I'm just telling you this right now. We went live on this on last Monday, okay? And the bank that I was working with, so it was the 27th, right? So we had 5 business days, and there were a handful of clients that their banks weren't getting done what they needed to. And so I had him go to the bank that I was working at, my great friend. So he had some ready to go on Monday, the 27th, yeah. And then I had 2 other clients. I thought they got their funding, but they said that their bank hadn't got it done. So I said, well, hey, let's get you over to Jason, right? So I think he did 2 more on Tuesday. I think he did 1 more on Wednesday, and maybe 1 more on Thursday. Okay, all of them were funded within hours, like sent into the SBA, got approval, and like, here's your bank account, here's your money, or your money's coming within hours, and then they're having money, within 48 hours. Like literally having money. You hear what I'm saying? Like literally having money. Not a promise of it, not, oh, I got approved and I'm waiting and it's 10 days later. Okay, but that's the benefit. This is a bank that has 2 locations. They're meeting the qualifications, okay? So, I don't know. I go watch some of my videos. I got a coach's video. Maybe I'll put that in there. I'll put in the coach's video if you need a little, I don't know if I should do it. Watch this video because we get in the coach's huddle and I get up in your grill. All right. Well, hey, listen, I'm ready for PPP to be out in everybody's hands. I'm ready for us to get everybody into phase 2. I know some of the states, they're delaying phase 1. And so maybe when we hit June, we're going to be hitting a time frame that we're all in a phase of opening. Okay, and that'll be good, I think, all together. I wish we were doing it all at the same time, but hey, every state's got different needs and requirements and different things going on with their healthcare system or, their population. And so, but know this, okay, we're at the end of it. We're getting near it in terms of a full reopen. So this is that part where you just get really itchy, right? Remember the times when you're like exercising? Well, maybe you exercise all the time. I don't exercise. I should, I get it. But you know how like when you're thirsty, like at first like, I'm thirsty, and then a little while longer. And then you've been thirsty for a while, like all of a sudden now it's like a really big deal. It's like, oh my, I gotta have something to. So that's probably where a lot of businesses are in like, oh my gosh, we're not gonna open yet. I thought we were gonna start phase 1 and they're not. So then it's just be like, when can we get back? So my whole point in saying all that is that I bet May is a little bit of a frustrating month, kind of overall. And so let's watch out for each other in the sense of one small business owner to another. If you know of another small business and they got to open, check on them. If you know there's a small business that didn't get to open because they're in some kind of sector, check on them. Support the ones that are open because there's going to probably be not the greatest consumer confidence in going out, and let's exert our patience with each other here for the month of May. So we've got it's a cool straight up 4 weeks when you just look at the calendar. 4 weeks of clean 5 days per week left in May, and then when we hit the 5 Mondays from now, it'll be June 1, and I bet we'll be in a great situation. So, hey, if you made it to here, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in. I'd love it if you subscribe, and if you made it to here, you probably already subscribed. I do go live every day at 4 Central Daylight time. And then every morning I've got, I'm not even really sure how I got into it other than I love motivating myself and motivating, clients that have businesses. And so anyways, every morning at 6 a.m. I release a video that's called Group 300. It's a little whoo, but it gives you some things to think about. And then now I have a series that's going to come out every Wednesday at noon Central Daylight Time. And it's just by the numbers. It's just a nice, easy, thought process that you maybe not thought of on one number that you probably always see. Just putting it on its head. Just one number, one concept, one idea. Much shorter videos. And then Fridays, I'm going to have every Friday at noon, I'll have a video coming out for CPAs and EAs and tax pros, right? My fellow group of professionals. So I've got that coming out, and then I'm going to try my best to do daily updates where it makes sense. And then I really can't wait to go into some, deeper issues related to the taxes. And anyways, so I'm going to have a series coming out that I think the video will come out probably on, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and it'll be Learning with JJ, the CPA. All right. Hey, you know what? You've never met a CPA quite like me. Let's have a great week. I really appreciate you. Talk to you soon.